Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 55 Thanksgiving and fall Dollar Tree DIYs from the Crafty Vault. I have a little bit of everything in today's video: Thanksgiving, fall, and even tier tray DIYs. For this DIY, what I want to do is I want to try to make Indian corn.
Or flint corn, you know, the corn that is so beautiful. And I want to try to recreate that. So I'm going to use popsicle sticks for that. Now, to create a base for the corn on a cob kind of thing, I'm going to take the jumbo popsicle sticks, and I just glued 2 of them on top of another one going down a little bit, so it kind of has like a pointy tip. That way it's going to give me a base where I can glue everything to. And I wanted to use popsicle sticks to try to make the individual kernels of corn. So I'm going to use a combination of Dollar Tree popsicle sticks. I found the colored ones, which I picked out all the orange, red, and yellow ones. Then I'm going to take some plain ones and stain them with some antique wax by Waverly. So we will have some brown ones. And then for the rest of them, we're just going to use like the natural wood. And I think this is going to give me a lot of colors that you can find in the ornamental corn. And we can just cut off the tips of these, and it's going to give us a nice rounded corn kernel that we can use to kind of overlap to go up the corn. Now, I picked up some corn husk at the grocery store, and so I'm going to actually wrap that in corn husk, and this turned out so fun. I did find that my little miter scissors here are a little bit easier to cut the popsicle sticks, so I did switch to those. And I'm making them like a little over 1 inch long. I'm not really measuring them, but I want to make enough yellow, enough orange, enough red. I'm probably going to have more of the natural color than any of the special colors. That way I can kind of alternate all of the corn kernels. So I just went ahead and just cut them all down in advance, kind of sorting out the colors. And then I got more efficient. I realized I could cut like 2 of them at a time with my miter scissors. If you don't have any of the miter scissors, they are great. I do have those linked in my Amazon shop below. I love them for stuff like this. So with the natural wood popsicle sticks, I'm going to cut those down too. Again, I want a little bit more of those than the other colors. But you know, I have those colored popsicle sticks from Dollar Tree and I never use them. So this was a great use for them. They're very colorful, and then I won't have to paint the red, yellow, and orange ones. So let's start building our ear of corn. We're going to start at the bottom of the ear, and we're just going to start gluing these on. So one by one, I am making like the arch tip of them pointing down to represent a little corn kernel. And I'm just going to do a very random pattern, changing up colors. I'm going to want like maybe a couple of colors in each row, but I'm not afraid to put like a couple like natural ones together like that, kind of mix it up. And I made the bottom slightly smaller. I did 5 on the bottom, and then I did 6 on the second row. And then we're just going to kind of continue this. I'm kind of staggering them a little bit. I don't want anything to line up just perfect. I just want it to look really random. And I also want the color and the pattern to look really random too, just like you would see on the ornamental corn. And I'm just going to continue that all the way up. This was pretty easy to do, pretty fun too. I got this idea to make this corn on the cob from a blog, and I'll try to find that. I think I have that open in my browser, and I'll post a link to that. They did theirs with the dollhouse shingles, and they just did yellow corn, so you could totally do it with just yellow corn too. but I thought I would make a very colorful version, and I thought I could recreate it with items from the Dollar Tree. So that's what we're doing with the popsicle sticks, and they actually worked out really well. And as you can see, I'm just kind of continuing that pattern. Sometimes I can go a little off the side of the popsicle stick as long as I still have something to glue it to. And I'm also gluing it to the popsicle stick underneath of it. And we're just going to continue that all the way up to the tip. The reason I made that one on the bottom a little bit taller is so that it will have like a pointed end, kind of like a corn on the cob. I decided I need a few more natural ones, so we went ahead and cut some more down. And then we're going to keep this pattern going all the way up. And I'm just trying to like kind of feel what I can fit when I get up here. Because again, I want it to be like kind of pointy. So I'm just going to kind of overlap these. These were kind of sitting up a little bit more than normal. But as long as I was able to glue the top and the bottom down, it worked pretty well. And then for the top row, probably only 3 of them will fit. And I want it to kind of be a pointed end. It's kind of jagged the way that the popsicle sticks are. So I'm just going to go in with some heavy duty scissors and kind of cut corners on those just to kind of give it that pointed look like a corn on the cob. This was a really fun DIY to make for sure. I'm going to go in with some of the corn husks. I got these on clearance at the grocery store. And we're just going to go ahead and start with these. I have another DIY with these as well. I got this huge package of these for like $3, so great deal. I'm just wrapping the corn husk around our little corn on the cob. And then we can kind of attach it to the front with a little bit of hot glue. I thought mine was a little bit wide, so I'm just going to trim that down a little bit so it's not too frilly on the back of that, because we are going to make a stand for this as well to display it. So I wrap a second corn husk around because the first one was not long enough, and I'm going to want to use multiple for different layers of the corn husk to kind of make it look more realistic. So I just glue those ends to the bottom there. I have this little scrap piece from when I shortened the first one, and so I might as well take advantage of it. We can make some little strips. Trimming those up, kind of making those look random. I want those to be different sizes, and gluing those on the front as well. Just kind of framing it out and making it look like there is an ear of corn in there. I think it's looking very colorful and very fun. I do trim the corn husk a little bit to kind of give it that corn on the cob shape as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and take another one and kind of rip it into sections. So I did like a third of it going out one direction, another third of it kind of going out the other direction. Again, giving you that feel of a corn husk. Now I want to display it, so I'm going to use one of these little round circle wood frames from the Dollar Tree. And it can be any of these. I'm just using it for the stand. So I just popped off the circle frame, trying to get rid of any of that material. There are a few nails that stick out of it, but it's not too good. So I'll show you what I did to attach this because I wanted to make it super strong. Now I do want to stain it to kind of make it look pretty. So I'm just going to go in with some Antique Wax by Waverly and go over the base, the sides, and the stand here. And then I'm just going to go back and wipe off any of the excess, giving me this beautiful wood stain, super easy. And then we can attach our corn to it. I do hot glue to get me initially started. I want it to stand up and kind of tilt off to the right a little bit just for fun. And I didn't think that the hot glue was going to be strong enough. And so I am going to reinforce that just a little bit. I have to kind of go through several things of wood. So I tried kind of putting the staples in there, but they weren't really catching anything. So I switched it up to nails. And I was afraid they might go all the way through my ear of corn, but they actually didn't. It actually made it a lot stronger. and I want it to just kind of stand up on its own. I thought maybe one more nail here just to make sure that it is going to stay attached. And so we're going to drive that in the back of this little frame stand as well. And I think that is way better. We have our little ornamental corn in the corn husk, very fitting for Thanksgiving. I think it's so cute. I thought more of the scrap pieces, like right here in the front, would be cute. So I just pulled off some more strips, and we're just going to hot glue that right toward the base, kind of closing that up, making it really look like it is wrapped up. And this is how it turned out. I think it's so fun. What do you guys think about my little corn DIY? I think this is so fun and perfect for Thanksgiving. It was pretty easy to make too if you wanted to get any of the littles involved. And I think it's so colorful. I'm really glad I decided to go with all these different colors instead of just the yellow.
And sometimes the corn husk can be a little bit hard to work with, but for this project, it was actually pretty easy. But I think it really represents Thanksgiving well, a little ear of Indian corn. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to hype this video. Thanks so much.
Now for the next DIY, I picked up one of these pumpkins. These are new this year. Aren't these really nice? They're nice and chunky. They definitely stand up on their own because they are nice and heavy. I'm just going to remove the bow, the leaf, and flip mine over. I decided it would probably be easier to remake the back of mine than try to cover up the front and worry about the sign and stuff on there that I have to pop off. So I'll just make this a two-sided sign. All I had to do was remove that sticky sticker on the back, and then it's ready to paint. Now, I didn't really have any paint in the color of teal, so we're going to kind of mix it by mixing some turquoise and just some like lake blue color. And the sides are already that color, so it's going to be really easy DIY. I'm just going to go over the whole thing, the stem and the pumpkin with that teal color, and I'm going to do a couple of coats because it's kind of hard to cover the back of those Dollar Tree signs like that. It's kind of that MDF material. It's a little bit harder to paint. But I probably should have made sure that I got it a little bit more dry than I did because I'm going to use that self-adhesive stencil, and they're a little bit stickier than I remember. But I did do 2 coats, and I did dry it with my heat gun. And this little one is so cute. I've used this a couple times in other fall DIYs. I love this print. It's kind of like a wallpaper of fall image, and it's just a giant sticker. It's a little bit larger than the pumpkin, so I think it's going to work perfectly. I'm just going to kind of line it up here with the bottom kind of having it slightly cut off on the sides. And it covers everything except for the stem of the pumpkin, so I think that's going to be perfect. Now for the pattern, I just use a Dollar Tree stencil dauber and some ivory paint. I'm just going to go over it with 1 coat. I was a little worried about the stencil adhesive on that, so once I got that painted, I just gave it a quick dry with my heat gun and peeled it off quickly to try to minimize any paint damage. And as you can see, I did have some paint damage, but I think we can salvage it because I did want to add something to it anyway, so I think that's going to work. And I want it to look really coastal for the coastal farmhouse vibe, so just using a standing sponge from the Dollar Tree, I just go all over it to kind of rough it up a little bit. But look how beautiful that pattern is. I think it looks so much better on this side. Now, I wanted something coastal to add to it, so I'm going to use a Dollar Tree sand dollar. Again, these are a little bit tinted gray, so I'm just going to give mine a makeover with a little ivory paint. And then we can just attach that sand dollar to the front. You won't be able to see the area that got damaged by the stencil, but be careful with those self-adhesive stencils from the Dollar Tree. They're a little bit stickier than you would think they would be. So I'm just going to glue mine right on top. It's going to make this a little bit off-centered for where I would probably normally put it, but not too bad. At least it's centered, right? And then I didn't really have enough of that stencil pattern to cover the stem of the pumpkin, so I do want to go back and kind of decorate that as well. But basically, I think that great fall design that we hand painted on there, combined with the little sand dollar, Makes it really beachy and fun. Now, this is some of the shore living twine I've been using today. It's the brown and the white. It's kind of like a baker's twine. You can kind of use whatever you have. I just tied mine around the little pumpkin stem, and then we're just going to simply wrap that around to cover the entire stem. Now, the sides of it are already teal, so it goes perfectly with the little pumpkin that we DIY'd. This one was quick and easy, but a fun DIY for Thanksgiving, especially if you're going for the coastal theme. I'm just going to hot glue that once I got it all covered and trim off the excess. And then I thought just a final touch to the top. It already had this little raffia bow on the leaf that was on the other side, so we might as well use it. I think that will look really cute. I just take it off the leaf and hot glue that right there to the pumpkin stem, and this DIY is complete. I think it's so beachy and fun. I absolutely love that fall pattern, and this is how it turned out. I kind of like the distressed feel that we got from going with that stencil and having to sand it to match the scratches that were right there. But I think the sand dollar did a great job of covering that up for us. Now, the next sign, I kind of needed my own custom sign, and I love crafting with these craft boards from the Dollar Tree. So I picked up 2 of these. They have a real rough side and a smooth side. So you definitely want to put the rough side on the back. And even though they're cut pretty well, they do require a little bit of sanding. What I'm going to do is combine 2 of the craft wood pieces from the Dollar Tree together to make a larger square sign to do something really pretty. I like crafting with it because it's real wood, and so we can stain it and make it look beautiful. I just did a bead of hot glue and pushed the 2 signs together. They're nice and thick, so they don't bow or anything like that, and it turns out really high quality here. Now to stain it, again, we're just going to use straight antique wax by Waverly to bring out that beautiful wood grain in this sign. And this is going to make a really beautiful background. It's going to go with the same stain color that we've been using on a lot of the wood DIYs today. And it just makes sure to go over the front and the sides here of all of it. Anything that's going to be visible. The sides are a little rough, so they're a little hard to stain. But Antique Wax by Waverly, look at the gorgeous wood grain in this Dollar Tree wood. It looks so high end. They do have knots on it, so I kind of like alternated which end got the knots there. Then we're going to use one of these little wood bead pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. This is the one that's like green and ivory. I did just pick up one of these the other day at Dollar Tree that was all white beads. It's the first time I've seen that one. I really like it. I'm going to have to use that for another DIY. And I thought we could combine this cute little wood bead pumpkin with some of the faux leather words from the fall section at Dollar Tree to do a really cute little sign here. These are like the tan leather words, and there is, of course, one that says thankful, so it's going to be perfect for Thanksgiving. And I thought the combination of the thankful word with a little wood bead pumpkin on that beautiful stained wood background was going to turn out lovely. So it was a little tricky to hot glue this down because I'm going to hot glue the wood beads directly to the sign, but I don't really want them to like spin around or anything, so I got to be kind of fast and glue that down to our sign. Anytime you're going to hot glue and you've just stained it like that too, you want to make sure that bottom sign is good and dry. And then I'm just going to outline it with some twine. And this is the twine from Walmart. It's a little bit thicker. And I thought that I could kind of frame it out, but then the twine is actually going to glue the wood bead pumpkin to that back sign because I wasn't sure how strong that was going to be since I glued all of those wood beads on and they were all kind of going every which way. And, you know, it's going to be kind of subtle. You're not really going to be able to notice it too much, but I think it's going to make it stronger because I want to hang this sign on my wall and I don't want this little wood bead pumpkin popping off. So I just go around the left side there, just kind of gluing that in, and just a neat trick that you can do to kind of, you know, make your project a little bit more stable. And again, it's really subtle. It kind of blends in with the wood background, so you're not going to be able to notice it too much. Just trying to get it as close to it as possible. Now for the thankful word. Mine is tan, so I was worried it wouldn't really pop against that, and I really want it to match my little would-be pumpkin, so I'm just going to paint mine. So I just take some ivory acrylic paint and a little makeup sponge and give it a quick coat of paint. You can totally paint those faux leather things from the Dollar Tree. It was so easy. Just going to make sure it's good and dry, and then I'm going to go back in with one more coat just to make it a little bit brighter, so it'll really pop against that stained wood background. And then we're just going to attach that little thankful word right here to the top, kind of centering it on it, just like I did with the would-be pumpkin. And just using a little hot glue here and there to make sure it all stays nice and flat against the sign. I thought this DIY came out so beautiful. So I used like 3 items from the Dollar Tree plus a little thankful word. So super inexpensive. And remember, we had that sawtooth hanger from that sign earlier, so we might as well use it. I'm just going to go ahead and hammer that into the back of my sign right there in the center. And we have a beautiful piece of artwork for Thanksgiving. This would look great. You could lean this up against something, or I'm going to actually hang mine on my wall. It's going to go great with all of the DIYs that we've made so far today. And this is how it turned out. So you can see if you use that like real wood panels from the Dollar Tree, you can't fake that wood grain. That wood grain looks so beautiful. And you wouldn't really know it's there until you give it a stain.
And you can do this with any of the color wood bead pumpkins from the Dollar Tree.
Now check out this beautiful autumn blessing sign that I got at the Dollar Tree. It's so pretty. It's nice and thick, has no glitter on it, so you know I'm already a fan. But instead of the wood leaf cutout on there, I thought we could glam it up with some gold. So using that acrylic metallic gold and a small brush, I'm going to do my best just to paint the leaf and try not to paint the sign underneath of it. I thought about making like the inside of the leaf like a different color or to make that gold too, but I really kind of like the contrast against the white sign. And I love the words autumn blessings on there. I love the fact that it's not glitter again, and I think it's really pretty. But we're going to take this just Dollar Tree sign and we are just going to try to make it extra special. It did take a little bit of time to paint that, and you can see that you really just don't get that gold metallic with that one coat. So I did have to go in here with a second coat and a tiny brush, just kind of keeping a baby wipe handy for when I do get it on the sign that I'm quick to act. I can clean that up right away. But you could even do 3 coats if you wanted a little bit more bling, but I was kind of happy with 2 coats. Now, to make it even more special, I'm going to layer it on another Dollar Tree sign. I'm going to use one of their chalkboards. I'm a big fan of those. They're a great size. They don't bow or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the hanger on that. And we're going to cover it in this great metallic wallpaper that I found at the Dollar Tree, removable wallpaper. But first, I kind of need to get the tag off the back. I want to cover the back of it just because I don't have that image coming through. I don't want that showing through my paper. But that tag on the back is always a little bit of a challenge. It always requires heat, scraping, and some Goo Gone. Now, I want to cover the side that's going to be the back, this side, with just some cheap contact paper from the Dollar Tree, just to make it have a finished back. I don't really want to cover that side with my wallpaper again because I don't really want you to be able to see any of the words through it. So it doesn't have to look perfect. It's just the back of the sign. And so I'm just going to smooth that out the best that I can with my little Cricut scraper. And then I can go in with the Dollar Tree sanding block and just scrape all the edges of this. It's so thin, this contact paper, that it really does give you a perfect cut. Now, this is the side that I wanted to work with, and this is the wallpaper that I found at the Dollar Tree. It's white with like a metallic gold pattern on it. I think it's going to be perfect. So again, it's just peel and stick like a giant sticker. And my piece was a little wrinkled, but I was able to get it on there and get everything smoothed down, and you can't really tell. I did use my scraper to try to get some of the wrinkles out, and that definitely helped. And then again, using my sanding sponge to go around all 4 edges and cut it down just like we did for the back of this piece. And then I'm gonna layer this underneath that sign that we just painted with the gold leaf. And it's gonna provide a really fun like metallic frame-like border to it and just make it a more substantial piece. Just popping my holes back through all of my vinyl that I've added to it. And I'm gonna go ahead and make a new hanger by taking some Dollar Tree twine, hot gluing the ends to make it easier to thread through all this stuff, and just knotting that on the front on both. Now here is our autumn blessing sign. I no longer need the hanger for this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, and then we can attach that. And you can see it's just making this beautiful sign. It's already beautiful, just way more substantial and even more beautiful. So I just do hot glue all over the back of that sign and try to center that, laying that on, gluing it down. Now the only thing I had to cover up were those holes in the top. And I thought maybe I could use some of these stickers from the Dollar Tree and do like the little 4 corners. It was kind of a tight fit, but it did solve the problem here that I was trying to cover up, which was the holes in the autumn blessing sign. So I'm gonna line that up with like the corner touching that great little round inset there, and just line that right up. The only thing I was worried about is down here, I did slightly cover part of the bee, and I wasn't sure about that, but I decided to go with it. I thought this would be the best way to cover those holes in the top. And so then we're just gonna go ahead and attach the other 2. And it did give it a little bit more bling, a little bit more fanciness, more glam. And I think that's a perfect final touch to this little autumn blessings sign. It was already really beautiful to begin with, and I think we even took it up a notch. You can see how beautiful that metallic gold looks for fall, and it looks really bright once it started to dry, the paint on there. And I love those little corner stickers. Those are definitely a find and come in really handy for projects like this.
Now, I made this one for Thanksgiving, but again, autumn blessings, you could definitely leave this up all fall. But just with a few touches there, it made it really pretty.
For the next DIY, I'm just going to use a thrifted sign. I got this at Goodwill for half price, so it was like $1.50. I love using a thrifted sign. Sometimes I use my own signs that I have bought years and years ago just to remake it. I thought this had a really cool blue frame. So I'm going to cover up that sweet corn label on here and everything, and just go ahead and paint everything ivory. I'm just trying to get like a blank canvas that I can do a Thanksgiving DIY on. So it is going to take a couple of coats to cover all of that because of course that label and stuff was super busy. And I wanted to have a nice ivory frame. I love doing like a neutral fall color scheme, and I think ivory fits in really well. It also goes really well with my coastal farmhouse decor. I have a lot of ivory. It really makes things pop against it. But basically just wanted a blank canvas, and that's what we have now. Now we can decorate this. I love using blue for fall. Personal preference, it goes in my coastal farmhouse, but we are going to cover the back of our thrifted sign with one of these placemats. I love these. I've been getting these from the Dollar Tree for years. It's that beautiful like light blue mint green color, and I figured out how long it is, and then you can kind of see the grain on this to trim that down into a perfect straight line. And I just wanted something to cover the whole back. Now it does have holes in it, which is why I made sure to give myself, a beautiful like white canvas behind it so you won't be able to see any of the design through it. And then to attach it, I'm just going to use Mod Podge. You could use something a little bit thicker. It is kind of a rubbery material, but I like using Mod Podge. And whenever I do Mod Podge for something kind of heavy like this, I just make sure that I use like a nice thick coat of it. And then lay my placemat down inside. Now I have this beautiful blue-green background to work with. And what I want to add to it is a turkey for Turkey Day. So they have these little wood turkeys at Dollar Tree right now. And as you can see, it's a little big, but you know what? I don't mind it bumping out from the sign, so I think it's going to work. Now, it has a hole in it to hang it, which I don't really need because I'm going to be attaching that to my sign. So I just go ahead and fill that in with a little Dollar Tree spackle. And then since it's like just plain wood, it's actually kind of got a cool wood grain on it anyway. We are going to stain it with Antique Wax by Waverly again, just using full straight, not diluting it or anything. And that way it will kind of coordinate together with that little thankful planter box that we made, a very warm color for Thanksgiving. And the raw wood from Dollar Tree just stains so well. It's going to bring out the wood grain. I'm just making sure that I get all of the edges and everything. And then I can go back in with a paper towel, wipe off all the excess and dry it. Look how beautiful that little turkey looks now. And then we can attach it here to the front of the sign. Now, since it's going to need to bump out, I'm going to glue a couple of the Dollar Tree Jenga blocks to the back so I have something to glue it to the back with. And I just use hot glue to attach our little 3D turkey here, and then we can keep decorating him. I found this great little thankful sign for $1 at Target Dollar Spot. It says thankful, grateful, and blessed. The colors work perfectly, and so that's what we're going to use to decorate my little turkey. But you could totally DIY your own little sign if you wanted to say something. Since the turkey is kind of basic, just being stained one color, I thought it needed a little pizzazz by using a sign and stuff like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is hot glue on my little sign. The color is green, so it doesn't quite match the placemat, but it's pretty close. So I just kind of glue that right there in the center of my sign, but also on the turkey. And then to cover the holes, because it was a hanging sign, I'm just going to use some thumbtacks from Dollar Tree and push those into the wood turkey. And it's going to help hold it on there, but it's also going to give it like a little decorative touch. Easy peasy so far. I thought about leaving it like this, and then I thought, you know, I think it needs like something else to make it really special. So I decided to add a fall floral to it. I found this great plant at Dollar Tree, a little flower. It's got a pot and everything. The reason I wanted to use this one is because I thought the color was perfect and it was nice and large. So I'm just going to pull the flower off and attach it to my little turkey sign for a little pizzazz. I was trying to decide if I wanted it to be centered on the turkey or off-centered. I thought if it was off-centered a bit like that, you couldn't really see like the turkey head and stuff like that. But if you centered it on the sign like that, it was going to make a lot more sense. But I went back and forth on it. And then I'm just going to trim this up a little bit and hot glue this to my sign. Just putting hot glue directly on the stem and on my little placemat back there. And glue that right in between the turkey feathers. And I think it took this little wood turkey and just made him extra spectacular for Thanksgiving. This is really cute. You could totally leave this up for fall, but it is especially great for November and Thanksgiving because I love decorating for Thanksgiving too. Can't wait for Thanksgiving this year for my son to come home from college. It's going to be so fun. We're going to have to cook lots of wonderful food. And this is how it turned out. This is how it looks hanging in my home. I think it looks nice against my like tan walls and very festive for Thanksgiving. Now for the next DIY, I designed a really fun coastal Thanksgiving turkey, and I have a printable for you guys. So in the description below, you should be able to find this in my Google Drive and print it out for yourself. I made it 8.5 by 11. I printed it out as large as my printer will go on cardstock, and we're going to use one of these Dollar Tree frames to frame it out, kind of make it look like a canvas. Now, one thing I've noticed about these Dollar Tree signs is they always make the little hangers off-centered, and if you don't fix that right away, you're going to have a crooked picture. So I removed the side one because that gets in the way, and then I fixed the top one because I knew it was off-center just by looking at it. And you can use any of these. I like this one because it has a lighter wood frame. So I think that looks really coastal. I won't have to do anything to it. Just a matter of trimming down the sides on this. My printer, I had like a clogged inkjet on this. And oh my goodness, I ran so many cleanings and things to be able to print this out. It took me like 2 hours. So frustrating sometimes. That printer usually is fantastic. I don't know why it got clogged like that. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. So basically, I'm just going to trim this down to fit. It's not going to fit perfectly, but it's pretty much going to fill the whole thing in. And I think this image is so funny. It is a little turkey with shades on the beach. And then I added thankful for the beach. And it was really fun to make. I actually used AI to create that image and it made me laugh. So I had to share it all with you guys. So I just do a thick coat of Mod Podge all over. I want it to be rather thick because the cardstock is a little bit heavier than a regular sheet of paper. And just lay that in there, trying to keep like the brown border parts, even if I can. If you don't get it on there perfect the first time, you do have a little bit of play with the cardstock versus paper. And so you can lift it and relay it on there if you need to. But that did kind of take the glue off the corner. So I am going to kind of touch that up. I want it to kind of look like a framed canvas. And so I really want it not to look like paper. So I go over the top of it as well to seal that down. And I'm using matte Mod Podge, and it's going to kind of give me like a texture, kind of like a painting. So I do like the brush marks and stuff in that as well. So I'm just going to do a brush for that and give that a quick dry. This is going to help keep it on, make it more of a permanent decoration. And I also released this image on some of my merch. I did share a link to that in my YouTube community post and on Facebook, where I put this image like on a pillow or a t-shirt, an apron. I thought it was really fun. So I decided to have a little fun with this. And there it is, our little thankful for the beach. Super easy DIY. And that turkey is living his best life. Now, I didn't really like the fact that it was so bright. So I did go back with a little ivory acrylic. And we are just going to distress the whole thing. It's just going to kind of lighten this up, give it an aged like coastal farmhouse vibe. I just wipe off the excess paint and blend it all in with a baby wipe and then go back and dry that in. And it gave me just a more coastal farmhouse version of this, but yeah, that step is totally optional if you like it just as colorful as the image was. But I think this turned out really fun. I was really happy with how it turned out, and it makes me smile every time I look at it. I think I'm going to hang this in between my kitchen and my dining room for Thanksgiving. And this one is definitely a keeper. So again, I will post a link to your free printable below with this image that I designed. And you can get creative with it. You can put this image on whatever you think would look good. But I think it turned out really fun.
Gather with a grateful heart.
Dollar Tree also has the coasters in the same design. So I picked up one of the coasters and we're going to make a little small fall Thanksgiving sign with it. Now to frame it out, I picked up one of their little tile signs there. I didn't really care which one it was. I just wanted the frame because I thought we could just do our own little thing here, kind of build it out and make a small sign. This would be great for a tier tray or something like that. Now, as you can see, the tile is smaller than the tile that was in there before, but I think we can make it work. I'm going to go ahead and hot glue it in just by doing a bead of hot glue on the inside edge because, again, it is a little smaller. And glue that little beautiful coaster right in place. Yeah, don't sleep on these coasters from the Dollar Tree. They have some really pretty ones. They are fragile though, so be careful getting them home. I've had them break on me before. So this is what it looks like so far. I want it to be a larger piece to sit on my shelf. So I'm actually going to pair that with another Dollar Tree sign. So I picked up one a little bit larger I don't need it to be a hanging sign, and so I'm just going to pop off a little sawtooth hanger on the back. We can always use that for another DIY. This was a fall sign, but I really just wanted that beautiful frame on it because I wanted to bring in warm colors. And I know that the tile frame that we used before is really sealed. You really can't stain that. I've tried to before. It's just so coated that you can't stain it. Now, it doesn't matter which sign you use for this because we're popping it all off anyway. I just wanted the back. It does have like the wallpaper on the back of it. And I was trying to decide which side would be better to use as my back here because it ripped the paper, of course, and stuff when I pulled the foam off. But I decided the back of it would probably be best to coat. And so I just cut out some contact paper from the Dollar Tree, something cheap. I love the wood grain. Gives it a fun finish. And I put that on the back just to give it a finished back so it doesn't look so crazy back there. Then just using a sanding sponge along all the edges, I can get like a perfect cut here by ripping off the excess vinyl. I like to finish the back of my projects, especially like a sign like this, something that you might be able to see the back of. Don't want to make it super obvious that it's a Dollar Tree DIY, right? Then to cover the back of it, I'm going to use the white burlap again. This is the burlap roll that I got from Amazon, but again, you can totally get white burlap from Dollar Tree. And the 6-inch roll was perfect because it's just the right size to cover this. I don't really want you to see the finished edges of it though. So I'm kind of trying to trim that up so it will fit to size. Now to attach it, I'm just going to Mod Podge it down. Mod Podge works great for burlap because it's going to dry nice and clear, but it's nice and strong enough if you do a thick coat of it to get, really grab the material. So just spreading that out, laying my white burlap right on top. So we're going to have like the warm wood frame with the white burlap. So that's going to match like that Thanksgiving planter box that we made earlier. But then we're also going to have the little grateful sign that's going to kind of coordinate with the larger one that we did with the green and white, with a different color of wood frame. So I think it really all came together nicely. So I just trimmed up the excess material. And then I love this frame. I think it looks pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and reattach it here to the frame. It does have like some like thin nails that they use, but it's really going to require glue. So I just go on the inside of the frame, only the top and bottom. I don't think it's going to need very much, but I'm also going to use my hammer to try to reinforce the little nails back into it. And this is what we have so far, a nice blank canvas that we can decorate with a little Gather Here with Grateful Hearts tile sign. And look how cool that all looks together. It really kind of, I think, looks intentional. So now to attach it, I'm just going to do hot glue on the bottom of this frame. And when you're gluing onto burlap, it's got all the holes in there. So the glue is going to go right through to the back of that sign, making it nice and sturdy. So again, it's not too large, so you can still use this for a fall or a Thanksgiving tier tray DIY, which I will be coming out with a Thanksgiving tier tray DIY video, so look out for that one. Or I'm just going to use it for shelf decor for my home for Thanksgiving. But I'm glad that I expanded upon it and made it larger. I really like the little frame within the frame look. I think it looks cool. And so this is how it turned out. I love the Gather Here with Grateful Hearts. Again, I made this for Thanksgiving, but you could totally leave this up all fall. I love green for fall. I use a lot of greens, I use a lot of blues, and I use a lot of wood in my decorating. Now for the next DIY, we're going to use some more corn husks. These are also from the grocery store. Mine, people make tamales with these. So the Mexican food section. And so if your grocery store doesn't carry these, I know some of you guys said that yours didn't. You might want to check if you have like a Mexican grocery store or something like that. You're definitely going to be able to find them there. But it's a great way to get dried corn husks like this. Now I want to make a Thanksgiving wreath with these. I think that will look really fun. And I'm going to use one of these little wood bead wreaths from the Dollar Tree. But I want my strips to be a lot skinnier. And this stuff just breaks so easily. It's so easy to do just to kind of shred these. Just kind of feel and rip, and they tear exactly the way you want. I still kind of want like a pointed end and a wider end, but we're not just going to leave these like regular corn husks with the natural wood beads. Even though that would be pretty, we're going to go ahead and do the blue with these as well. And since I already have the dye mixed up and it's still hot, I think that we can go ahead and dye these too. Now I went ahead and shredded more than I needed for the wreath so that I could use these in some more DIYs today, but basically just shredded all of those. I'm going to pop those in my larger vase here, and then I'm just going to pour all the dye in there so we can get this super deep, and we can kind of push all the corn husks down in the dye. And again, I just set these aside for like 30 minutes or so, and they dyed really well, just like the ones with the Indian corn. I do kind of have to push them down in there a little bit to make sure that everything is covered with the dye. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of like dyeing Easter eggs, I guess. So again, this was just Rit dye, and the color that I'm using is teal. So I set that aside for about 30 minutes, let it dye, and then we're going to grab these, pull these out, put down plenty of paper towels so I don't have a huge mess. And mine actually all came out in one big clump. And I think it looks really pretty. And I think that's going to be a really fun take on the corn husks for the little Thanksgiving wreath that I'm going to do. It's definitely going to add a coastal touch and kind of continue that mermaid corn theme. So I just kind of pat them dry, but then I also had to let them sit to dry further because they were really wet. Now for the wood bead wreath form, this is just the natural wood. I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm just going to start and I'm going to tie them. I decided to use twine instead of zip ties. That way I could fit it in between the wood beads, kind of hide it in there. And I'm just going to go ahead and take a group. So I'm going to do about 4 of the dyed little corn husks, and then we are just going to tie those down. I was wanting to cover up the little part where it comes together there with the metal part, and I thought I might as well just hide that while I'm doing this. So I just pull it through the wooden beads on the back, lay down my corn husk, and then I'm just going to tie a knot in the front. And it was a very secure way to attach these. And I'm going to overlap the corn husks on every row. So it's going to kind of cover that up. And I don't want to do the whole wreath form because of course I love like the wood beads on there. I think that's really pretty. And I think just about half of it. So I just skipped down 2 beads, putting my twine in between those 2 beads so I kind of know where to go, and just tie off another bundle. I'm trying to not tie them too close to the end because I want to make sure this is secure and that the corn husks don't fall out. So again, I skipped 2 beads, and then I am just tying down 4 more. I was thinking at first that I was going to have to go back in with more to make sure that you can't see the twine, but it's actually pretty full in the end, and I didn't really have to worry about that. So I was just trying to find 4. I like them a little bit different, a little bit of variety in them. Try not to get them too curly, even though I noticed that while these dried, they did kind of get curlier, but it kind of looks really cool. They kind of look wild. And I think this is a really fun idea for a Thanksgiving wreath. It's really hard to find Thanksgiving DIYs. Not a lot of people do them. Most people just skip Thanksgiving and move straight to Christmas. But I promise y'all Thanksgiving content, and so I am trying to deliver. And I just keep continuing that down. I was trying to decide if I wanted to do like a third, a fourth of the wreath. I ended up doing near a half of it. And then I was happy with it. So I'm just going to keep tying these on 4 at a time, every 2 beads. until I'm happy with it. And then for the end, it will be kind of exposed with the twine at the end, but I do have a plan for something that we can make to cover that up, and it's going to give it a little bit more Thanksgiving fun. So I was thinking, is that enough? I decided one more row. And just tying that and cutting off the excess twine. And you can see that it's nice and full. You really can't see any of the twine or anything that's under it. And I just kind of have to find a way to cover the base and kind of make that look prettier. I'm also going to cut a piece of twine for the top. And I'm just going to tie a simple hanger here by looping it through and knotting it at the top. So that's how I'm going to hang it. I'm going to kind of have that swooping over to the left like that. I think that looks really beautiful. And the corn husks dyed that teal blue color. So beachy and fun. And again, if you had a different color scheme, I think these would look great dyed any color that you could think of. Now for the sign, I want to do a little sign here at the end to cover up the end of the corn husks. I decided to use one of these little wood slices from the Dollar Tree that comes in a 2-pack. I think the scale is nice. It looks nice and rustic. So it's kind of going to go with my vibe on this, but I wanted something Thanksgiving to put on it. So I designed this image with AI. It is a little turkey on the beach, and I will share the free printable for you in the description below if you would like to recreate. So I sized it like, I think it's like 3.75 inches in a circle like this, which is about this size of the inside of mine. You know, if yours is a little bit smaller or larger, you might need to resize it. First, I cut out a circle, but I didn't like how perfect that looked. So I went back and kind of did like a curvy line all the way around. That way it kind of went more with like the log feel of how it's not a perfect circle. And I think that's really fun, the little turkey on the beach. It's definitely going to go with my coastal Thanksgiving theme. Now to attach it to the little wood slice, I just do a layer of Mod Podge, and I printed mine out on cardstock. I love to print on cardstock. I think it's easier to work with, and it's much easier to Mod Podge than just regular thin paper. Then I can just go over it immediately with a second top coat there. And then I can just go in and give that a quick dry with my heat gun. But I'm going to go back in with one more thin coat to make sure it's good and sealed. Now I wanted to distress mine a little bit just to make it not so perfect, a little bit more coastal farmhouse. So I kind of distressed just in one direction and wiping off any excess. I'm completely out of my brushes that I used to distress with, and I'm having trouble finding them at Dollar Tree. I'm gonna have to go hopping some stores, I think. But I think that looks good. It goes with my vibe, and I'm just gonna use that to finish off this Thanksgiving wreath. Such a fun image of the little turkey on the beach. Now, I thought to help secure it, I would just put some more of that twine, glue that to the back of my wood slice so I could have something that I could tie onto the wreath. But I'm also going to glue it too. So I'm kind of seeing exactly how I want it to sit. And then I'm just going to put glue right there on the corn husk, lay my little wood slice on there and flip it over. And then I can just kind of tie it to the wood bead wreath, just kind of like we did with all of the corn husks. And the twine actually worked really well for this. I just reinforce it with a little bit more hot glue to make sure it's nice and strong. And we have a really fun mermaid corn husk wood bead wreath for Thanksgiving. So coastal and fun. I bet you've never seen a wreath like this. I try to bring you guys unique projects. And this is how it turned out. I love those wood bead wreaths. I've been DIYing with those a lot more. At first, I really wasn't that crazy over them, but now I am in love with them. And I think that little turkey on the beach really finishes the wreath off nicely and screams Thanksgiving. Okay, the next DIY, I found this at Dollar Tree too. This is a candle making kit. So I was kind of confused, had some false scents in there, but look, it's a little empty candle holder. It's already got the wick in there. And then it comes with these little wax granules. It had like apple, cinnamon, apricot, citrus, magnolia. And the directions says just to kind of like pour the little granules in there, and like you can do like a stripe pattern, if you will. They're all different scents. I kind of wish that they would give you all one scent, but we're just going to kind of dump these in here and see. And then it just says to light it. It doesn't say to like melt the wax, which I thought was a little strange. I'm actually burning it right now, and it does melt as you go. So I guess it's right, but it kind of looks weird doing it this way, but I'm doing it this way because that's what the instructions said to do. So I did mine in layers, and I didn't really like the striped look. So I decided to mix all the different scents together, and we'll see what we get, right? And so I'm mixing the red, orange, and white all together just with the end of a popsicle stick, just because, the stripes really weren't my thing. And then it's a very small candle holder, but I thought we could still decorate it with a little fall flower. So I picked up one of these little red flowers, and I thought we could just add that to the front. It's going to match the red in the candle, and it's just going to give us a little fun detail right here in front. I thought it would also be cute to add a little rustic touch to like take some jute twine to wrap around the candle holder too. And then we can attach the little fall flower to that. So I just tie that on there, kind of wrap that around until I'm happy with it, using a little bit of hot glue to make sure it kind of stays in place. I don't want anything that's going to be too flammable or catch on fire. I think that looks pretty good. Let's clean up some of the fuzzies on there, and then we can attach that little fall flower right there to the front. This is this one with the little granules inside. I guess you could melt that in the microwave if you wanted a solid candle. I don't know. If you've done that, let me know below. And I think it looks really cute with that little red flower right on front. So definitely easy. They had these in all different kinds of scents at my Dollar Tree, but I picked up one with the apple cinnamon in it because I thought that kind of reminded me a little bit of fall. So we're just going to go ahead and light the wick right into the granules, just like the directions said, and it works. Okay, for the next DIY, we're going to use one of these little Thanksgiving stencils from the fall section at the Dollar Tree right now, but we're going to give it a beachy makeover. I found these little signs from the Dollar Tree the other day that are almost the perfect size for the Dollar Tree canvases, and I picked up one of the little beach canvases to put inside. Now, it is a little tricky to work with this frame, so I'll show you what I did to kind of make mine work. As you can see, like, it fits in the inside of the frame, so it's a little bit smaller, but I think we can make this work. Now, the frame is black plastic. It's not super easy to paint because once you paint it, the paint kind of wants to come off if you distress it. So I'll kind of show you what I did. First, I mixed some ivory paint with some antique wax by Waverly. It's going to give you a really fun driftwood color. And then using a brush, I am just going around and painting inside, the top, the outside of all four sides. And you can still kind of see the black plastic through that, which is going to be fine. It's going to kind of tend to lend to more of a wood grain a little bit later on. Now, between all of your coats, you're going to have to make sure you give it a good dry with your heat gun, because again, keeping the paint on the plastic is the challenging part of kind of remaking this. I want this frame to look like a driftwood frame to kind of go with the beachy decor. So I'm going over all of the surfaces with that same tinted ivory paint that we did before, trying to cover up as much of the black as I can. Then I'm going to go back in with just straight antique wax by Waverly and start distressing all over, giving me that like faux wood grain. I just kind of follow the direction of the side. So I switch it up when I do the top and bottom, kind of give me that faux wood grain, and I make sure I go over the inside and the outside of the frame too. I want everything to be covered with that wood grain. And then I went back and I was trying to kind of wipe it off with a paper towel, but it was taking the paint off as quickly as I can do it. So you got to be really careful with blending it here. I'm going to blend mine very carefully with a paper towel, and I will have to touch it up a little bit. You can see a little bit of the black peeking through, and that's kind of what I was talking about how this frame was a little bit challenging to paint, but we're going to get there in the end, I promise. So I'm kind of touching up any of the areas with that lighter color, that if the black was kind of shining back through. And then I didn't have quite enough paint, so I did have to mix a little bit more, kind of touch that up, because I was really not happy with this. Next time, I don't know if I will blend it with a paper towel next time I paint one of these frames, because again, it did kind of want to take that paint off and kind of make it back to the plastic. And I want this to definitely look like wood. So I went over it with that lighter color again, touching everything up. And then I'm going back in with the Antique Wax by Waverly and distressing everything. This time I switched to a baby white and very light pressure, and it worked a little bit better to blend it. Now for the canvas. I picked up this little beach scene this summer at Dollar Tree. I always like to check all their canvases. You can kind of find beach scenes year round if you were lucky. I don't know if this was necessarily any specific line. And I found a great scene, and I thought we could just add one of those little give thanks stencils right to the front of the beach scene. So I thought that would be fun, a fun way to do coastal Thanksgiving. So I'm just going to line that up. It's almost the perfect size for these little square canvases from Dollar Tree, and tape that down with some painter's tape. Now for the paint, I'm using chalk paint. I'm using like this marshmallow color and a little stencil dauber from Dollar Tree, and just daubing all over with that. Now I thought since I was using like a chalky acrylic, it would be thick enough to not bleed, but I actually got a lot of bleeding on this. I don't know if I need to use some kind of like stencil adhesive or something, or maybe it was the fact that the frame was only along the edges of the canvas, and so I didn't really have any pressure point from behind the canvas itself, but that's okay because we're going for coastal farmhouse anyway. So I'm going to want it to look distressed. So I'm going to kind of take advantage of that. So I just go over it with a baby wipe, trying to wipe off any of the excess bleeding and kind of whitewashing it a bit. I did have to touch up like one of the words to make it a little bit more legible. And then this top leaf really did not paint well. So I tried to touch it up a little bit. And then I realized I could just add my stencil back to it, touch it up that way. A little bit easier way to do that. But again, going for the coastal farmhouse look, so it's very forgiving. Now that we have our little give thanks all painted, we can pop that in our frame that we painted to look like driftwood. I think that looks really beautiful together. And then I just kind of have to figure out how to make this work. The staples were a little bit in the wrong place because there is like kind of a small gap between the canvas and the frame itself. So I didn't really think I was going to be able to attach it with the staples. I'm going to have to put the back on here, I think, to get this to work. So I just popped out all the staples with a pair of pliers, pulling those out, making sure you don't crack your frame when you do that. And then I'm just going to hot glue the back to the canvas and to the frame by doing a bead of hot glue on both. Laying the back on it, it's already got a hanger on it, so that is just a step saved with this DIY. And here is our little give thanks beach scene with our little driftwood frame. So basically 2 items from the Dollar Tree plus a Dollar Tree stencil. So very inexpensive to make, but it definitely gives you that coastal Thanksgiving vibe. You can make anything beachy or anything coastal. I do it for every single season. And I was happy with the frame in the end. It was a little bit more difficult to paint than I originally thought, but doesn't it look so much better than it did originally? I'm going to use one of these little welcome gold wreath forms from the Dollar Tree and some of this gold garland wreath. This is almost more of a copper. I got this at Target Dollar Spot for $5, but it's really high end, and I really wanted to see what this would look like if I can make a fall wreath out of it. You know, it's wired and everything, so I think there's going to be plenty here to make a wreath. And that combined with a little gold welcomes wreath form from the Dollar Tree, I think is going to go really cute together. So I'm just going to start with the wreath form. I was going back and forth whether it should be on the bottom or on top, but I start with it on the bottom. And I'm just going around the wreath form one time to see if I have enough. And I think I do to go around it 2 times. So I just wind the wire to itself right there. It is a pretty strong wire, so I had to use a little pliers to get it pretty tight. And then I was going to just keep going around with the second layer, but it was going to put some of like the special parts of it in the same place. And I didn't want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. That way I can arrange everything and make it lay just how I wanted. This fall DIY was so easy to put together and it turned out so pretty. It's a pretty good size too. You could definitely hang this on your door for fall. I wanted to do gold and glam today. I think it's really pretty for fall, and I think it's going to be really great for Thanksgiving as well. So with my second one, I can just kind of lay that on there how I want it. And then I was trying to decide how I was going to attach this. I didn't really want you to be able to see like any kind of twine or zip ties or anything like that. So I actually ended up using a fishing line. It's not the strongest, but it did work to make like a vanishing way to hold it on there. Now this is the second layer of the wreath, and so I'm going to go ahead and wire that to itself, making a second loop. There was just a perfect amount to go around the wreath form 2 times on this Target dollar spot garland. And you can tell just by looking at it, it's just so high end. Now, if you wanted to do this with like a Dollar Tree garland, you could totally do that, just spray painting the leaves of whatever you have gold, and you might get a similar effect. But these are kind of a smaller leaf. And this is the fishing line that I was telling you about. I was just knotting it, and at first I put the metal wreath form from the Dollar Tree on the bottom. And then once I get them all tied on here, I realized you couldn't really read it too well because part of the W was like underneath of it. And so I was able to pull it through into the front without messing up any of the fishing line. And the fishing line, again, not super sturdy. I mean, it is an invisible way to attach it, but you might want to slip like so a zip tie in here or there to make it a little bit stronger. Because I did have a couple of these just break on me, just like while I was working with it and stuff like that. So that's why I don't know if I'd really recommend it, but I wanted to try it because I've been looking for a way to attach things to Dollar Tree wreaths like this, where, you know, you can't really hide it. Now for the hanger, I'm just going to take some Dollar Tree twine, and it has a little loop right on there, and I just knotted that on. And then we're just going to arrange our wreath form a little bit. It was so pretty. It kept its shape pretty well. I think because all of the wires and the leaves and stuff like that were all pretty strong. And I want everything to stay pretty close to the loop here. Once I got it all arranged, that's when I realized, I was like, you know what? I really want the welcome word to be more readable. So I just pulled it up to the top. So I actually ended up attaching it to the front of the fall wreath. And I have 10 fall DIYs for you today, but I also have some more finds as well, items from the Dollar Tree. I think that this garland is the only thing I used from Target Dollar Spot today. I think everything else is from the Dollar Tree. So just a few more last touches here until I'm happy with it. And this turned out so pretty. I was so happy with it. I think I'm trying to decide where I'm going to hang this. This might go on the front door. I have my burlap welcome pumpkin wreath that I did recently on that, but this would hold up better outdoors than the burlap, I think. So I think that's where it's going to go. I have a white front door, so I think this is going to look really pretty on it. And it's just really simple. I thought about adding some acorns and stuff like that, but I kind of liked the simplicity of just the 2 different kinds of greenery and that great welcome sign. And this is how it turned out. This is how it looks hanging up. I really love that welcome wreath form from the Dollar Tree. It definitely doesn't look like something that cost $1.25. It looks really nice. And that greenery from the Target Dollar Spot is just gorgeous.
And I thought this would be pretty for Thanksgiving, but I think it'd be really pretty actually for all fall season.
Now for the next DIY, quick and easy. I have one of these little teal glass bottles from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. It's already got a white starfish tied to it. Perfect. And I thought I could combine it with some of this new pampas grass from the Dollar Tree. I think these kind of look a little bit like turkey feathers, and I didn't really have any turkey feathers or anything similar, so I thought we could kind of get the same effect with this pampas grass and just kind of fan it out in that little teal vase. I don't have to do anything to the vase. The colors are perfect for all the DIYs we've been doing today. For the pampas grass, I just kind of fan it out a little bit. I'm only going to use 2, but I think that's going to be plenty to kind of make it look like turkey feathers. And I told you this was going to be quick and easy. That is how it looks. I love it. I love those little shore living bottles. Again, I always try to stock up on the shore living items like that so I can use them for different holidays throughout the year. And this is how it turned out. Nice and fluffy. I thought about cutting it to try to make it look more like a feather, but I think they kind of already look like feathers, so I didn't think that was necessary. Now, this is the tier tray we're going to decorate next. This is just an old tier tray I've had for years. I think I got it at Marshall's, and I'm going to decorate it for Thanksgiving. For the first DIY, I'm just going to use one of these Dollar Tree signs. I like the size of it. I like the fact that it's got like a wood background, and I can just redo the front of it. I wanted to make a little pumpkin pie sign, and they have those little hanging signs that you see there at the Dollar Tree. You get 2 of them for $1.25, so great deal. And I want to add the little give thanks to the front of the sign. Now, it does have all that writing and stuff on there, so I'm going to have to cover that up, but I wanted to do like the little pumpkin pie, like with a burlap background, but leaving like that wood on the back of the sign. I like crafting with these size signs from the Dollar Tree. They are a great size. And even though the burlap roll's not quite enough to cover the entire sign, I think we can make it work. So I'm going to go ahead and pop off the pumpkin pie one. The apple pie one is cute as well. And they seem to bring these back every year. I was able to get some more of these this year at the Dollar Tree too. Now, to cover up the writing on there so it doesn't show through on the burlap, I'm just going to go over it with some ivory paint just to kind of mask that. It's kind of hard to cover like the black letters on the white background like that without going over it with some white. And I'm just going to clean that up. I got a little bit on the sign. I didn't mean to. And give that a quick dry, and then we can go ahead and put this sign together. I'm just going to cut out enough of the burlap to cover the front here. I'm also going to cut off the end just so it'll kind of be symmetrical. I love these burlap rolls from the Dollar Tree. I have stocked up on like a box of those because I use burlap all the time. To attach it, I just did a bead of hot glue on the top and the bottom of the ribbon. I don't think that will show through very much. And glue that on there. You might not be able to see the writing through there with the pumpkin pie covering it, but I went ahead and painted it just to make sure. I just removed the hanger off of this and the staples that were there just to kind of get that out of the way, and then we can attach the little give thanks pumpkin pie slice to the front of our sign. And since the sign is nice and long, I think it's going to fit nicely. I just hot glue that and set that right there in the front. This is going to be the first item for this Thanksgiving tier tray. Super cute. I love the fact that there's no glitter or anything on the little pie sign. I think it's going to look great right here in front on the top tier. Now for the next DIY, I actually got this at Goodwill. I can't remember what it's called. Somebody has told me before what these things are called. But I think it looks great for fall. So I'm just going to take one of the little thankful pumpkins, the leather pumpkins. It has a strap on it, and kind of just put that around that just for a little dose of fall. I've used this thrift find in some coastal fall DIYs as well. I just think it's really fun. What is it called? If you know what it's called, tell me in the comments below. I promise I'll remember this time. I just tied the twine on the back. It's a little fragile, so you have to be careful kind of pulling it tight. As you could tell, it kind of wanted to rip on me. But I just wanted a temporary little thankful pumpkin just to add to the front. I think that's going to work.
Do you find that you have glitter on everything you get from Dollar Tree? That even had glitter on it. We're going to stand that up back here behind the little pumpkin pie sign, and where you can kind of read thankful over towards the side. Now, I found this at the Dollar Tree. Isn't it cute? It's a little metal turkey candle holder just to hold a little tiny candle. I think it's so cute and perfect for a tier tray. It's one of those items that you never know if you're going to find it, but sometimes they have some really cute things. So I just pop in a Dollar Tree little tea light, and I think this is ready to go. I like the brown colors. It's nice and neutral. It's going to look good on my little wood tier tray. We're going to stand him right over here. And since this is a round tier tray, I can kind of decorate all the different size. Now check out this thrift find. I got this half price at Goodwill, so it was only like $1.50. Look at this gorgeous turkey. See how colorful it is? It was a candle holder, but I decided to make mine a vase. So I just popped out the little candle holder. It came right out. And then I'm using some florals. These came from Target Dollar Spot for $1. And I thought they looked great for fall. I liked the colors on them. And I thought it'd be fun to mix up one of the palm fronds too, also from the Target Dollar Spot, just to do a fun little Thanksgiving floral here. I mean, I guess you could always put a candle in it, but I don't think it would really make sense to have one long candle sticking out of the top of the tier tray. I think it's going to work better as a little Thanksgiving vase. Now, these I got at Dollar Tree. I think these are really pretty. They have like some flowers mixed with like these little like spiral wreaths, and the color looks perfect with the items that I found at the Target Dollar Spot. I love this turkey. It's so traditional. It's so beautiful. And it was only $1.50, so it was almost the same price as the items from the Dollar Tree. Isn't he cute? Maybe not so cute with that waddle. And we're going to put him right here on the top. Now, this is another Target find. This is a Target Dollar Spot turkey, and I actually got this at Target Dollar Spot for $3 last year. I love it because it is like felt, green, orange, and you know what? I accidentally bought it twice. I loved it so much. So, yeah, here's my other one. Maybe I'll just go ahead and use both. Do you ever buy something and then forget you bought it and then buy it again? Yep, that's what I did. But he's cute and I loved him, so I'm just going to put him right here on the top tier as well. Maybe a little pine cone for filler on the sides of him, just to kind of fill up the tier tray. And he's super cute. Now, this is a Dollar Tree little pie pan that says grateful, so I thought that would be perfect for Thanksgiving. Very traditional Thanksgiving vibes. And I love using these on tier trays. I think they're perfect. You can kind of stand them up on their sides so you can still read them, but they're very decorative and just the perfect size for a tier tray. Now, that looks pretty good. Now, this is a little green, tiny pumpkin from the Target Dollar Spot, only $1. I think these are so pretty. The color is perfect, I think, for Thanksgiving, and it's a lot easier than making it. It's only $1. We're going to put that down here, and we're going to start decorating the bottom of this Thanksgiving tier tray. Maybe a few more pine cones as filler. And remember that other turkey? We might as well use it. We have it, I mean. I'm just going to do it on a different side than I used it up top, so it won't be super obvious because I'm going to be using this tier tray on a table, so you're going to be able to see it from all directions. Now, this is really cute. I got this at the Target Dollar Spot for only $1, and it's just a little cutting board sign for Thanksgiving. It says, eat together, live thankfully, gather often. I love the little dollar finds that you can get at the Target Dollar Spot. I'm going to stand that up against the pole there in the back. And then we have another Dollar Tree DIY. I love to craft with these little metal signs like this from the Dollar Tree because you can use the little rub-on transfer stickers and stuff like that on them, and you can just have a great galvanized metal back. Now, the back of mine was damaged, so I'm going to try to remove the paint on the front. I've done this before with some success. I'm using some fingernail polish remover, the acetone, and a paper towel, and look how that paint came off. Now, on some items from the Dollar Tree, I've tried this and it hasn't worked, so I wouldn't guarantee it's going to work on everything, but with a little bit of elbow grease, now I just have a blank galvanized metal sign with a wood frame, so it's going to be perfect for crafting. To decorate, instead of using like a window detail, I'm going to use one of the little rub-on transfer stickers for fall. These are even better. And I think this is going to be great. It's going to go with the Thanksgiving vibe and just a quick, easy way to make a little sign for your Thanksgiving tier tray. This one says grateful, thankful, and blessed. I'm just going to peel off the back and sit this on. It's one of the rub-on ones, so I'm going to have to rub it to get it attached. I thought I would kind of trim down the bottom. It's going to make it a little bit easier to get it in here. And that is why I've stocked up on those galvanized metal signs like that. I think they are perfect blanks for crafting. All you have to do is remove the paint that was already on there. Doesn't matter what they said before. I'm just using one of the little Cricut scraper tools from the Dollar Tree to make sure it's good and down. Always make sure it is, because if it's not, you can always lay it back. And do a little bit more scraping until you have a perfect transfer. And you can't even tell that you started pulling it off too early. Isn't that cute? Super easy, quick. I love the galvanized metal. I think that's going to go great on this tier tray. And it's the perfect size for the bottom. It's going to fit nicely. Isn't that beautiful? We're going to put it right here next to our little turkey twin. Now for the next item, this is a yard stake from the Dollar Tree, one of like the corn on the cob. I thought that would go really well with the Thanksgiving theme. This year they have some that have like the wood beads too. They're super cute. I'm just going to use my pliers and break off the metal stake and just use the little mesh wire corn on the cob. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it yellow and orange. I think that goes great for a Thanksgiving decor. We're going to lay that right here in front of our little grateful, thankful, blessed sign. Now, I found this at the Dollar Tree, the Be Blessed, Be Thankful little stacked pumpkins. They're in blue. They're so cute. But sometimes when you get items from the Dollar Tree, they're a little bit banged up like that. But that's okay. We can give it a quick touch up. I'm just going to use a paint pen and kind of remake the top of this. They have these again this year. I picked one of these up and I used it on one of my fall tray DIYs, if you remember. I think that looks pretty good. What do you guys think? And we're going to add that down here to the bottom tier. Perfect height, and it definitely goes with the thankful vibes. Maybe a pine cone back here to kind of fill up some of the empty space. And then I found this great turkey coffee mug at Target. I love getting their seasonal coffee mugs. They're so cute. I think it was $5. I totally not for sure, but they usually are when I get those from Dollar Tree or Target, I mean. And I'm going to make mine into a vase. So I'm going to use some floral foam from Dollar Tree and just cut that down so it'll fit inside the coffee mug. And then I thought I could use some of the orange and yellow fall leaf garland from the Dollar Tree to do a fun little fall display in there. I'm just going to go ahead and take the leaves off the garland just by pulling them off and then just pushing that stem into the floral foam so we can get a little fall display. I noticed that if I had two attached, they're definitely not going to stay in there too well. I wanted kind of a variation of the colors. And just trying to make this work. It didn't want to stick in. As you could see, it was kind of fighting me. I think that my stems weren't quite long enough. But I'm trying to persevere here. So I'm going to add a few more here. And then I decided maybe a little hot glue is going to help out.
I'm thinking it probably didn't help that my floral foam wasn't quite as big as I wanted it to be, but I just kind of glued everything together. Basically, I just wanted a pile of fall leaves coming out of the little turkey mug. The turkey mug is kind of the star of the show. It's so pretty. I love for Halloween, Christmas. I get these for every season. And then to kind of fill up the front, I thought maybe some Dollar Tree acorns would be cute. Do a little pile of acorns right there on top of the fall leaves, and it finishes off the fall vibe for my Thanksgiving tier tray. Look how beautiful that mug is. I love it. He's got a little blue, yellow, and red head. We're going to sit that right here next to our little Be Blessed, Be Thankful pumpkins. So this is kind of a very traditional Thanksgiving theme as well. Now for the next sign, this is another thrift vine sign. It was just about the right size, so we're going to use it, but you could always use a Dollar Tree sign. I wanted something long so I could do like one of those leather words from the Dollar Tree. And we've used green a lot on this tier tray, so I'm going to try green for it. This was an old Halloween sign that somebody thrifted, and I'm just going to go over the whole thing just with some white paint just to kind of give me a blank canvas. Don't be afraid to check your thrift store for signs. If you're going to be remaking it anyway, you can get great deals. I used to get half off at my Goodwill all the time, but they don't seem to be doing that anymore. But I could really stock up. Now, since I've got it painted white over the black and all the writing, then I can go back in with my leafy green color and paint it. I'm going to go ahead and paint the stand. I like this sign as well, like I did on the last tier tray, because it's got a stand built in. So just one more thing I don't have to make. So I went ahead and painted the back stand. So, because you might be able to see that on a tier tray. And then I can go ahead and paint the front and the front base as well. Just with that green color, I kind of just wanted a green background. I thought that would look good with like the tan leather words. And I thought we'd make a really cute, easy little fall sign with these. This is what it looks like when it's dried, and I love these leather words. How cute are these? This is the word thankful, so it's perfect for Thanksgiving, and it's just the right size for this sign that I found. I'm going to attach it with a little bit of hot glue. These things are so heavy duty, you can totally use hot glue on them. It won't damage them at all. And some on each end and in the middle to make sure it stays good and stuck, and lay that right there on the front of my sign. Now, I also have some acorns from the Dollar Tree there. I thought that would be a fun thing to add to the sign as well, and kind of break it up a little bit. And then I also had one of these like little leather straps from the little leather, pumpkins and leaves and stuff like that left over from another DIY. And I was thinking that might be a cute little strap to go across the front of it to kind of break up all the green, and it's going to go great with the leather that we used for the thankful. So I just kind of cut mine in half. I actually want to use the knot and design. I think that's going to make it look cute. And then I can just attach that to the back of my sign with some hot glue, just by wrapping that around there. And just a fun way to use some of my scraps. A crafter, you leave nothing to waste. There's usually something cute you can do with it. So that's what it looks like so far, and now it's time to add the little Dollar Tree acorns. If you have real acorns in your yard, you could totally use those as well. I like these better than the wood ones because I don't have to paint them. It's just a step solved. And I'm just going to glue that right here on the little ledge. A little fun touch. And maybe another one as well. Kind of did one a little bit darker than the other. And do I need one more? Yeah, I think so. So that's just a fun fall thankful sign. I think it's going to look really cute on that tier tray, especially since we have like the green turkeys and stuff like that to decorate this tier tray. We're going to put it right here in front
I think it's going to fit nicely right about here. And we are done with this Thanksgiving tier tray. I'm going to give you a quick look around at all of the fun DIYs. We got thrift finds, Target Dollar Spot, we've got Dollar Tree. We've got all kinds of stuff going on here. You know what? With Thanksgiving, I find more turkeys and stuff like that vase at Goodwill than I find anywhere else. But this is just another option with some fun Thanksgiving tier tray DIYs for you, hopefully to give you some inspiration for your Thanksgiving tier tray. I think this one turned out really cute too. Very earthy colors on this one. And of course, I love all of the turkeys. And the corn is kind of a nice touch too, right? Really fun. This would be great for like a table or something like that. Somewhere where you're going to be able to see it from all directions, either like a dining table or even like your coffee table. I love how it turned out. Really sweet. Okay, the next theme is farm fresh pumpkin. So I really wanted to do a farm theme for fall, and I think this one turned out really fun.
So I'm going to use one of these little windmill signs from the Dollar Tree. And I don't really want the welcome sign on there, and I don't really want it to be a hanging sign. I wanted to kind of decorate the middle tier with the little windmill. And so I'm just trying to peel off the little welcome sign from the bottom, but leave the rest of it intact. So I did that with a pair of pliers and a little bit of heat. It was a little bit of elbow grease to get this off, but totally doable. Just be careful that when you're working with metal like this, that you don't cut yourself. And that left me the perfect piece to DIY the top of my tier tray. Sometimes I like to put something fun at the top of it to set the theme, and a windmill is perfect. I love the galvanized metal too, and I just use some twine to tie it right there to the hook on the top of my tier tray, and it starts a perfect theme, right? Now, for the next thing, we're going to do a little farmer's market rooster stencil from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree and any kind of house sign. I picked this one because I thought it kind of looked like a barn. This is one of the Shore Living's house signs. I just removed the little sticker there on the top. So we can paint this and then do a hand-painted sign. So I am going to use this color. I think this is the Caribbean blue color. And I'm just going to go ahead and tape off the roof so I can leave that nice wood color. And then we are just going to paint this until I get a really good coverage over all the writing that was on there. It took about 3 coats of acrylic. And touching it up a little bit there for any areas that the painter's tape might not have done a great job on. And then I love this stencil. It's so cute. It's a perfect size for this to make a little barn. And even though I'm doing a farm theme, I'm throwing in blue because I love blue and I'm not afraid to use it for fall, but you can make your barn whatever color you want for your decor. So I just tape it on. This is definitely not self-adhesive. And then I am going over with the original color first to try to help avoid bleeding. And then we are going to paint the farmer's market sign on there with some ivory acrylic and a little stencil dauber from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to distress this. I want it to be very coastal farmhouse, so definitely doesn't have to be perfect. I know my stencil's not super tight on there. And that gave me a great white canvas, right? And I'm going to follow that up with orange. So this is like orange mixed with the ivory to give me a light orange color just to do the rooster to make it, stand out a little bit from the rest of the design. And then once I get it all on there, I remove the stencil. We are just going to distress it very lightly with some ivory just to make it look a little bit aged. And I distressed the wood roof of the barn too. And this is going to be a nice tall piece to put on the tier tray. You'll be able to see it in the back of the tier tray. So I put a little 5 Below Jenga block on the back just because it kind of wanted to tip over a little bit on me to make it a little bit more stable. And you guys know I love these straw bales. I've used them on every tier tray so far, haven't I? Another one of these from the Dollar Tree for this farm theme. And some more pumpkins. This is a little Dollar Tree one and a Dollar Spot one. I painted the Dollar Tree one to make them a little bit better color of orange. And that's going to give these little pumpkins some height back here in the back of the tier tray. And this farm fresh fall theme that I was going for on this tier tray turned out really cute. This is just an orange pumpkin dish that I found at Dollar Tree. And we're definitely using orange on this one. So I thought maybe we could stand it up here in the front, kind of leaning it against the little pole in the middle of the tier tray. Now, since we're doing a farm theme, I thought it'd be fun to use some of the little, what are they called? Fairy garden, fairy garden farm supplies. So this is their little tractor, but I wanted to go with my color scheme of the orange and blue. So I just used like this light orange acrylic, and I am just repainting my tractor. I'm not going to paint like any details on that, but I do want my tires to remain black. So I'm just going to go in and touch them up anyway. Their paint jobs are never great anyway, and I just want a little orange tractor with black wheels, nothing fancy, but it's going to go with my color scheme. And we'll put that right there in front of our little blue barn. And then they also had this little fairy garden farm truck full of bales of hay on the back. And so again, it was a little red truck, and I'm just going to update it with that Caribbean blue color so it matches the blue theme we have on this tier tray. I always try to pick a color scheme of like maybe 3 colors to do most items on the tier tray, and it really makes them go well together. So there's our little farm truck right over here with the hay bales. And then they also had like little chickens and chicks. They also have little teeny tiny pigs and hay bales. There's all kinds of really cute little fall fairy garden items that you can find at the Dollar Tree. They even have some crops. So I thought that'd be fun to kind of, dress up this top tier. They're nice and little, so they make perfect little tiny miniature filler for a tier tray. So you can definitely use these tiny items on a tier tray. You don't have to do like a little tiny fairy garden with them. They can totally add some fun little effects. I'm going to kind of decorate the front part of the tier tray with those so you can see them with all the larger items behind. And then these are some of the little pumpkins from the Target dollar spot like we used earlier. And I'm just going to use those for filler to fill out the rest of the top of this tier tray. And then also some of the little orange burlap pumpkins from the Dollar Tree as well. To mix it up, I like all different shades of orange and textures as well. So I think that looks pretty cute, our top tier, and we can start DIYing the bottom tier. Now I picked up these great like blue, white, and orange napkins at the Dollar Tree. And I also picked up one of these little dry erase easels. I love using the little easels because they make perfect signs for a tier tray. They're just the right size. And we are going to decorate the dry erase with just a napkin. So we're going to do a really simple decoupage here. They have the most beautiful fall napkins, lots of great ideas for a fall tier tray. And I just cut it in half and then separate the different layers because you want to get it down to 1 ply. It's going to make it Mod Podge a lot better. I do a very thin coat of Mod Podge all over the little dry erase board, and then I just sit the napkin right on top, lining it up exactly where I want it, leaving the sides on there because it helps to position it a little bit, and smoothing it all out. Trying to work with it as little as possible so that I don't get any ripping. And then I just use a sanding block to cut off the excess napkin around all 4 sides once it's dry. And such a cute little pumpkin sign for a tier tray. I'm going to seal it now that it's dry with another thin coat right on top. And I love decoupaging with napkins. It's so fun. And look how pretty that turned out. You would have no idea that was like a little dry erase board. It's a perfect little sign here for the back. I also found this little, I guess they're like doorknob pillows from the Dollar Tree. And it says Happy Fall. It's got beautiful pumpkins all over and a burlap back. And I love using pillows for tier trays. They're a nice, fun surprise. And these are the perfect size. I'm going to put it back here. I actually had a little extra pumpkin sign that I used to help make it stand up a little bit straighter. And on to the next DIY. This is a little metal pumpkin sign from the Dollar Tree. It says Happy Fall, and it has a little wheelbarrow on there. I thought that kind of looked fun for a farm. The colors kind of match, but not really the outer part. So I thought I would just paint that and paint it this like orange color to go with my orange and blue theme on this farm tier tray. As you can tell, the orange acrylic doesn't do a great job covering that dark color, but that's okay. I'll just repeat it with a couple of coats. And it's a farm theme, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but it definitely brightened up this little metal sign. And I thought that'd be great to kind of just lean against the little pole here in the middle of the tier tray. Super cute. Now, this chunky little pumpkin I got for $3 at the Target dollar spot. I love that it's wood with like the etching on there and the orange sides. So I thought that would be perfect right here in front, just because it's a little bit shorter. Just got to figure out which direction I want it. This is another one of the little fairy garden. This is like a little chicken coop maybe. So I thought that would be cute down here too, over here on the side. I got this little crate sign at the Target dollar spot for $1 that says pick your own pumpkins, 25 cents, but it just kind of needs something. So I thought I would use some of these little Dollar Tree pumpkin stickers to just stick that to the front of that little crate. And what an easy, quick little sign for a tier tray. Pick your own pumpkins, 25 cents. Hey, that would be a bargain, right? And it's so tiny, it'll be great here right in front. I also found this great little pumpkin sign for $1 at Target dollar spot. And it's so small, it's going to be perfect right here to finish off the front of the bottom tier. And then you guys know I love lamb's ear. This is some of that lamb's ear from Walmart. And I am going to cut it down into some little sprigs that I can use for filler for my tier tray. And even though, you know, it's a farm theme, I really think the lamb's ear goes with any theme. It's just going to make it look fuller and fun. And I just kind of tuck those in any of the little areas that might need something. Filling in all the holes. And then maybe we just need like a few more pumpkins or something like that. So these are those burlap pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. I really love this color of orange. And we're going to use those for filler down there. And some of the little faux wool pumpkins, also from the Dollar Tree. These are super cute and fuzzy orange little pumpkins. They make great filler as well. I love a good fall tier tray because it's going to last you all the way through Thanksgiving.
And I think this is a really fun theme for fall. I love the farm aspect and kind of keeping it all like in the same kind of color scheme. You can just pile as many pumpkins as filler in there as you want. But this is how it turned out. We have our little barn. We have our tractor, pumpkins, a real farm look using some of those fairy garden items. The hay bale and pumpkins is perfect for this theme. And then moving down to the bottom tier, we have lots of fun things like that pillow, chicken coop, and all kinds of fun fall signs. I really love the idea of like the wheelbarrow there full of pumpkins. So this is a fun theme. It's not specifically for Thanksgiving. It's more, you know, all fall with the farm theme. So this is how this one turned out. Kind of an orange and blue color scheme, which I love those colors together. And a fun farm theme for fall. What do you guys think about this tier tray? I think it's really fun. Now up next, I have another fall tier tray theme. This one is woodland critters. So think like forest animals and stuff like that. I love that theme for fall.
So we're going to do a 2-tier tray. I love this 2-tier tray. I got it on Amazon. I think it's beautiful. I love the rectangular shape. And we are going to give it a woodland animal makeover here. So the first step, I'm going to use reindeer moss from Dollar Tree because I kind of want to give it the feeling of a forest floor. So I'm just going to break up the reindeer moss here all over. I think it looks just like moss you would find in the forest, and kind of do like a little bed of that on the top and also on the bottom before we start decorating this to look like woodland animals and a little forest. I think this looks really cool. Just trying to break it up, trying to have enough to kind of be peeking out wherever I'm going to kind of need it. And then we can start decorating it. The first step is I wanted to do a fun little fall tree on my tier tray. And I decided to do it with the blue leaves from Dollar Tree just because I love blue. I thought it would be fun. But you could do it with more traditional colors as well. So the first step is I am just cutting my tags off, and then I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree twine, and I'm going to tie that to the middle pole of my tier tray to try to make that look like a tree. You might have to use your imagination. But I thought like the wood pole could be the tree, and then all the fall leaves could be my little blue fall leaves. Super fun. Just a matter of holding those in place and tying them on with some Dollar Tree twine, which was a little tricky, and I might have needed a third hand here. But once I get one knot, it was a little bit easier. I just want enough just to kind of keep that in place and for it not to fall over like that. So I decided to do a second row of twine here to make sure that doesn't happen again. And then I'll cover all that to kind of make it look more like a tree. And so you won't see all the plastic pieces of the leaves. Now for my tree, I'm going to use some of this great birch ribbon from Dollar Tree. I love this stuff. I think it's so cool. And it's going to give it like that bark image on the tree. And I think that's going to work out great. Isn't it cool? I love DIYing with this, especially for fall. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut off some pieces that I can use to wrap around that top tier pole to cover up all of the plastic. Gonna take my hot glue gun and just kind of assemble it here on my tier tray. Kind of have to do that. I just glue it to itself, and I'm gonna make a little faux tree trunk right here in the middle of my tier tray. It's gonna hide all the plastic parts of my leaves. And then I cut 2 of those pieces, so now I can go in with the second piece to make my tree a little taller. And I think that's a fun little effect for the top of my tier tray. That is how it turned out, with all my blue leaves peeking out at the top. Up next, I wanted to make a cute little banner for my tier tray. I always think that's so fun. So I'm going to use some Dollar Tree twine and some Dollar Tree ribbon. This is actually from Easter. I buy it every year because I love it because it's nice and blue and white. I can use it for coastal. I can use it for whatever. And since we kind of have a blue theme going on this little woodland creatures tier tray, I'm going to cut little blue pennant banners. I'm avoiding the wire parts. I just want the ribbon parts. Just cutting enough triangles to make a cute little pennant banner to go on the front of the tier tray. I think that always gives your tier tray so much personality when it has one of these. So I cut down 5. I usually like to do odd numbers like that. I just found the middle of my twine, and we are simply just going to hot glue these on, just kind of spacing them out evenly the best that we can. It's just going to be a very rustic little mini pennant banner. Just a few more pieces here. And I love making these. I make these for my coffee bar, I make them for my tier trays. Anytime I can add a little banner, I'm definitely going to do it. Super cute and really fun for a little pop of blue. And I just hang that on the top. I just do a little dot of hot glue on both sides of my tier tray, so I don't really damage anything, but that's gonna hold it in place, give it a little color, and look fun there on the front of our little woodland animal tier tray. Now this is a thrift find. I found this half price at Goodwill, and you can tell it's been broken. It looks really old, and I absolutely love it. It's made out of like a cast, like it's made out of maybe plaster or Paris or something like that. but look how it looks like it's all carved. I think it's so pretty. So he's the star of my show. I got him for like $1 and I just put him right on the front. Now, remember this little guy? This is the one they had last year. So it was a squirrel holding a pine cone instead of an acorn. And yes, I know the difference. I know. I called pine cones acorns in my candle video. A million of you guys have told me. It was like 3 a.m. when I had to do that voiceover. So forgive me. I know they were pine cones. I know. I tried to go in and edit it, but once you've got sound up on YouTube, there is no editing. So I think he's going to look really cute there on the tier tray. Up next, these mushrooms. I got these in every color this year, but these are the blue ones. I think they're so cute, and I think they go great with like a forest theme or with woodland animals for fall. So I'm just going to use a couple of those to decorate our tier tray. Now, on their own, they don't like want to stand up on their own because the bottom is a little bit rounded and they're very lightweight because they're made out of foam. So I'm just going to make little bases for mine with the little wood cubes from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree, just to make the bottom heavy, make the bottom flat, and I can kind of hide that down in all the moss that we have going on the tray. But just in case I can't, I'm going to go ahead and attach a little moss with just hot glue there going around the edges to kind of disguise those. Just kind of a problem solver there to get those to stand up on their own and to weigh them down on the bottom, which is going to be necessary for them to stand upright. So I just take that same reindeer moss that we used on the tier tray and just hot glue it along the bottom on all three. These were so cute. I wanted to use all of them on the tier tray. So I'm going to do one up here on the top, opposite our little squirrel we added. And then maybe a couple on the bottom. I did have a little bit of extra reindeer moss from that, so I'm going to add that to my tray as well to make it super full. So the other two are going to go down here on the bottom, maybe one on each side. Up next, I checked the pet aisle and I found a little dog toy that's actually a squirrel. So hey, I'm going to take advantage of that. I think he's going to look super cute on our tier tray, and he even squeaks. Some of their dog toys can be kind of ugly, but I think he's kind of cute, and I'm a big fan of squirrels, so I had to have him. Isn't he cute? So I think he'll look really cute on there. Even though it's like a stuffed animal, I like to use those sometimes on my tier trays because I think it's fun. So we're going to put him back there in the back because he's nice and tall. He can be our little squirrel on the bottom. Up next, this little guy is from Dollar Tree. They have these again this year. The little, I guess it's a hedgehog, right? Holding an apple. And he's so cute. Now, the apple's not painted great, and I had some red paint that I darkened a little bit, and we're just going to kind of update the paint on him, kind of like we did before with the pine cone on the raccoon. So he's also got like a little bit of a skinned up nose. Sometimes you can find these at the Dollar Tree, and they're not perfect, but we're going to try to touch him up a little bit and just make him look a little bit better. I didn't have any paint that color though, so I'm trying to use a little bit of ivory and a little bit of antique wax by Waverly to try to kind of get close to that color, just so I can kind of patch him up a little bit. I don't want his nose to look all skinned up like that. And I just kind of paint the tip of his nose. It's not the same color, but I think it looks better than a chip. And he's got little sleepy eyes on him. I think he's so cute. And I just had to have him on this little fall tier tray. Look at that big grin. I love these things. They're so adorable. I think they're great quality for $1.25 as well. We're going to place him right in front because he's a little bit shorter than our stuffed squirrel back there. And keep on finding items. Now, this was a Halloween costume from the Dollar Tree. It is the raccoon mask. And I saw it and I said, I wonder if I could make something for my woodland animal tier tray with this. And so I'm going to give it a go. It's just like the little mask part of a raccoon that they're so famous for. So I'm just going to cut the strap off of the mask. And I just want to kind of display that as is because it definitely looks like a cute little raccoon to me. But I want it to stand up since it's going to be on a tier tray. So I'm just going to simply glue the mask onto one of these little Five Below Jenga blocks that I love to craft with. And it'll make just a very easy little stand here. I wasn't sure if it would fall over or not. So I take a couple of the Dollar Tree Jenga blocks too, glue those together, and kind of glue that to the back just to make sure that it stands straight up, kind of doing like an upside down T brace there. But I thought this would be really fun on the tier tray. You can kind of just see straight through. You're going to get that little raccoon mask effect, and I think that's going to look really fun on the tier tray. Who knew that you could craft with Dollar Tree costumes for your tier tray, right? I'm going to have him right here in the back because he's nice and tall, peeking out a little raccoon mask. Now, I thought we needed a tier tray, so I'm going to use some of the little wood foxes from Dollar Tree and then a little Dollar Tree fall sign. I picked this one because it was blue and I thought that would be cute. It would go with our blue theme on our tier tray. And I'm just going to pop off the little pumpkin that's kind of sticking out, trying to minimize the damage to the paper if I can. And then this is the little fox ornament that I need to cover up that area. So I think we can make this work. They do have little holes in them, but I'm going to try to fill that up and just do a cute little fall seam. I do use a little glue stick there just to try to glue my paper down, clean it up a little bit, and then fill that hole in with some spackle. Wanted to make sure this was going to work and which direction I wanted it to be that was going to make it work the best before I put my spackle in there. And I think I decided. So I'm going to put it in this way from the back. That way it won't be super messy on the other side. And I wish they would make those ornaments without having a hole drilled into the heads because a lot of times you want to use them for crafting. You don't want to hang them. I hardly ever hang the ornaments from Dollar Tree. Now, it is a great wood, so I'm just going to go ahead and stain that with some antique wax by Waverly, just to have a little wood fox for this cute little sign. And that way, it's really pretty, the stained wood, and then you don't really have to go through and paint it all the different colors of the fox, so it makes it a little easier. I just do a thin coat of antique wax by Waverly all over, and then wipe off the excess with a paper towel, like that beautiful wood grain behind it. Now, the frame on this existing sign is about the same color, so that's going to work really well. I do have to glue it exactly where I need to cover up the damage to the paper because I really liked the blue like wallpaper background there. So I did kind of have to off-center my little fox and the fox sign, but that's okay because then I have room for words, right? So I'm going to use the little Scrabble tiles from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to find the letters to spell out the word fall. I always pick those up when I see them because sometimes, you have to have several packages to find all the letters that you're going to need. They also have them in black and white. I don't like those as well. I like these more traditional Scrabble tiles. They go with my crafting a little bit better. I was wondering, though, if I could stain them a little bit to make them a little bit darker to go with that. They are coated with like a lot of sealant, so I wasn't sure if this was going to work, but it's an experiment. I thought maybe we could add a little antique wax by Waverly Distressing on these, just to give them a little bit more color, maybe a little bit more wood grain, and it actually worked a little bit. So just distressing in one direction, and then kind of cleaning those up with a paper towel to wipe off any excess, and it did make them a little bit more colorful, and they're going to match that darker color of wood that we stained before. So it's going to go nicely right over here on the side where I have all this extra room, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue those in place, just kind of spacing them out by eye, just as even as I can get them. Great way to add a word to a sign, and you get that fun little Scrabble touch as well. So there he is, our little fall fox sign. Perfect size for a tier tray and super easy to DIY. We're going to put this right down here in the bottom in front of the post. Now, I also got one of the Dollar Tree foxes from Dollar Tree last year too. And this one has the little apple instead of the mushroom. So they did change them this year. Just now noticing that they're all holding different items, but otherwise they look really similar. And I'm just going to go ahead and update the color of this apple too, just because I did before. I just made it a little bit darker. Just personal preference. But you can totally use it, leave it bright red if you have one of these as well. I kind of like the items they're holding this year a little bit better. I did get some paint on my little fox. I'm going to have to clean him up a little bit. The fox is holding the mushroom this year, and the squirrel is holding the acorn, which makes a little bit more sense. But I think that looks really cute. So we're going to put him on the little woodland animal tier tray too. Down here on the bottom, opposite of our little hedgehog. Going to make some room in the moss for him. And he's so cute with his little sleepy eyes. I think this tier tray is really coming together. I'm just going to go ahead and finish it off with a little bit more moss.
And this was such a fun theme. I love doing woodland animals for fall especially. So this is a tier tray you could leave up all fall, but hopefully it gave you some fun tier tray inspiration for your fall or Thanksgiving tier tray. So many cute little critters are available at the Dollar Tree and a few DIY projects. The tree being in the top of the tier tray was very fun and whimsical. I absolutely love that thrifted owl. And I'm always a fan of the mushrooms and all those little fall critters like the squirrels and stuff like that. It was a really easy DIY to put together for a tier tray. And I think it's really fun with all of our little squirrels, foxes, hedgehogs, raccoons. We've got a little bit of everything in this. And this year I really went in on like that fantastical forest theme inspired by Pottery Barn, where I have a lot of fall forest animal DIYs on my channel. And now it's time for the final reveal. I really hope you enjoyed these 55 Thanksgiving and fall DIYs. I had such a great time putting this video together for you today. Let me know which DIY or tier tray was your favorite down in the comments below. You can find me at Crafty Beach on YouTube on all social media. And this is a QR code if you would like to buy me a coffee. Enjoy the final reveal.
If I'm lost along the way, if I wander off onto a different trail, will you forgive me if I fail when I'm lost and derailed? If I cry when I'm blue, if I cry alone when I am with you, will you forgive me if I do? If I cry when I'm blue, through wind and through rain, through trouble and pain, if ever my heart strain, will you pull me through like you always do? If I'm wrong when you are right, if I'm only seeing things in black and white, will you forgive me tonight? If I'm wrong and you're right, through wind and through rain, through trouble and pain, if ever my heart strained, will you pull me through like you always do when I am calling your name? Through wind and through rain, through trouble and pain, if ever my heart strained, will you pull me through like you always do when I am calling your name? When I am calling your name. If I'm lost along the way, if you find me in a state of disarray, will you hold on another day? If I'm lost along the way, if I'm lost along the way.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's crafting marathon. I also want to give a huge thank you to all of my YouTube members for supporting my channel. Thank you to Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Marin Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Donna Tanner, Red Mama, Pal Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Jenny, Debbie Austin, and James Osborne. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. If you would like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button next to today's video on your phone or your computer. You're going to get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube and a badge next to your name when you comment down below and a shout out in every video. We would also love to see what you've been crafting. Make sure to share your DIYs with us in our private Facebook group linked in the description of today's video. Would you like even more Thanksgiving crafting inspiration? Be sure to check out one of these DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting!